The Stonehill Skyhawks are next up here on NEC Football Media Day. Eli Gardner coaches in his 8th season, of course, 3rd year in FCS here with the NEC. And I think the first thing we got to ask you, Coach, is when you got into the conference, I'm sure you had a multi-tiered plan. Where does it stand right now? Are you ahead? Are you behind? Are you where you thought you were going to be?
Yeah, I would definitely say that we're either where we thought we would be or we're a little ahead. You know, I think we've done a good job in our first 2 years of adapting, right? Playing new opponents and taking it all in. But I think we've been very competitive, obviously.
We've had some big upsets, Liv.
Yeah, I think our guys have played really well. We've been up to every challenge that's really, come in front of us. So I'm excited of what the present holds and also what the future holds with our football program.
I got to ask, one of the things that you've really impressed me with is your ability seemingly to win the turnover battle in each and every game, and the transition you made to be competitive so quickly, I think, is in large measure contingent on that.
Yeah.
Talk about your emphasis and the things that you talk about with your team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, protecting the football on offense and attacking the football on defense have always been huge points of emphasis for us, right? We talk to our guys all the time about how it's all about the ball, right? So we emphasize it in practice, obviously, offensively, and Asher can touch on this about, ball security and just doing the small things over and over and over again at a high level, and then defensively attacking the football and disrupting the football and getting multiple guys to the football, because good things typically happen when they do. So that's always been a huge point of emphasis for our program, and like you said, it's paid dividends for us.
You mentioned Asher Karaha last season, 1,500 yards throwing, 12 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, ran for 98 yards, and Von Friday, defensive tackle, joining us up here as well. Had a sack last year in some limited action. So, Asher, I'm going to ask you first, as you try to take your game to the next level, you want to be more daring, obviously. You want to be able to be more productive, but you also got to be careful, because if you give up the ball, coach is going to put your butt on the bench. So how do you weigh that balance?
Honestly, I don't ever really think about being afraid of turning the ball over. I just try to focus on my job in the play and my reads, and you got to take that chance. If you end up turning the ball over, it is what it is. But I don't really focus too much on worrying about turning the ball over or not. You just got to do your job. And if it happens, it happens. We're going to figure out how we work on it and build off to the next play.
Put it behind you, learn from it, and get on to the next one. That's spoken like a true pro right on that one. I got to ask you this. Your previous season, 22, was slightly better statistically.
Yeah.
How do you explain that, and what did you learn in terms of what went on in 2022, what went on in 2023? What did you really focus on after you look at it and say, what do I got to get better on for this coming season?
After the 2022 season, I think that I had a little more success because I was more free in my head.
Okay.
I feel like there weren't really any expectations on me. You come in as a freshman or a redshirt freshman in my case, and I was kind of just firing all cylinders. Last season was also hard because I had a shoulder surgery.
Okay.
So I didn't throw at all during the off season for 9 months. I started throwing right when we got to camp. So this off season is my first full off season as a starting quarterback, going through spring ball and all that. So just overall, just working on my mechanics, cleaning everything up, and just getting a lot stronger because I couldn't work on my upper body last off season.
So we can expect big things.
Very big things, yes.
Von, what did you learn from your limited playing time last year? Again, we mentioned you had a sack. I know you want to pick it up. Everybody knows that the game's won in the trenches. I mean, quarterbacks are nice. They're friendly. They get on TV a lot. But the trenches is where it all happens. Oh, yeah. How will you guys get better in the trenches on the defensive side of the ball this year? What can you do?
So in the trenches, I definitely like to think of us as some of the best players on the field, because we try to pride ourselves on doing everything right and doing the little things right constantly. So that's something that if we continue to work on, I think we can do well in that area.
So you're the best athletes, right? That's what you got to say, right?
That's Absolutely. What it is. That's what it is.
What is your style of play? Describe it.
My style of play, I like to think of myself as kind of like a bruiser. I like to disrupt things in the middle, make sure the running back doesn't have anywhere to go, the quarterback doesn't have anywhere to go. Definitely like to disrupt the middle a lot, 100%.
Coach, what about your backfield right now? We know you got a guy who can do some dynamic things with the ball in his hands at quarterback. How does the running game sort itself out right now?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate throughout my entire time at Stonehill. We've had some tremendous running backs that have come through our program. And I think every guy that's come through our program will also point to our offensive line and say, hey, I couldn't do it without them, right? So obviously it's through recruiting, it's through development. We had a couple of guys that had some pretty significant carries for us last year that are returning, so we're excited to see what they do with a bigger workload. And we're excited to see how the boys up front play. I think if we've had the success that we've had in the first 2 years in this league, I think Van really kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, we're winning up front in those games that we win. So if we continue to do that, it'll make all of our running backs look really special.
Trenches. It's always the trenches.
For sure.
Yep.
Let me go back to Asher a second. When you're trying to develop your game and trying to get more dynamic in the passing game, you need some help with some targets. Is there a sleeper that we're not talking about who's suddenly going to get downfield and make some plays with you?
Sleeper receiver?
He won't be a sleeper after today, right?
Well, I mean, this is our job to try to unearth these guys out.
We have to ferret out this information.
This is definitely the deepest we've been at receiver this year. I mean, there are a bunch of different guys, but I'd probably shout out Jake Newsham. He's going to be the guy this year, yeah.
Because usually we're used to Stonehill's running backs getting a lot of ink, so I just had to throw something out there for the receiving corps.
We're going to be throwing the ball a little bit more this year, so watch out for that.
Van, talk us about the defensive philosophy that your coaches have applied.
Something that we seriously pride ourselves on is 11 hats to the football. Running to the football after every play. In practice, all we do is scream at each other, run to the football, run to the football, run to the football. So I think 11 hats to the ball, every play, everybody, swarm tackling, everybody being where they're supposed to be, and getting to that football is something that we can continue to work on, continue to be great at.
Thanks, guys. Best of luck. The Stonehill Skyhawks here on the NEC Football Media Day program. We're going back over to Dave, who's got a lot more about how football can touch lives even off of the field.